Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining this registry update. Very excited to have everybody joining at the moment. We will wait just a couple of minutes and we'll start on time. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining the registry update. Very pleased to have you all online with us. We're just admitting some more people into the lobby so we can get started. And thank you. I just wanted to start with a brief overview of why we wanted to have a session to update you on the RAK ICC registry. As you know, we very much want to be your registry of choice, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to engage with us. And this webinar is part of that. And what we're hoping to achieve today is some tips and tools for you that will help you find it easier to use RAK ICC. We're really excited with the developments that we've got planned coming up over the next few months. And this is just one part of that. You can see further developments, further improvements coming. We are always really pleased with the feedback that we get from agents and customers using RAK ICC. And so we don't take it for granted that we've got the perfect operation, and we're very much keen to engage with you to find out what more we can be doing. I see there's a hand raised from Emma. We're very much open to taking questions, and there'll be a chat Q&A session. You can see that available. That's been opened. Please feel free to put in comments there, and we can start a discussion and make this interactive. And yes, the first conversation is, will there be a recording? Thank you for your permission to join while it is being recorded. And yes, we will send out the recording to participants and make it available. So without any further ado, I'd like to start with the agenda and show you what's going to be covered today. As I've mentioned, it's very much about the practical use of the registry. So we're wanting to explain how we can make it easier for you to engage with us. We want to talk through our portal features. We're highlighting some of the common issues that we see and the feedback that we get from people that say that maybe we need to simplify things a little. We want to help you fulfill your regulatory obligations, and not necessarily just to us, but your obligations at a federal level in respect of RAK ICC companies. We want to help it to be easier for you to keep up to date with the status of your companies and the information that we're holding. We want to be clearer on our pricing model. One feedback we get is that sometimes agents feel that they're not quite sure what we're going to charge because of enhanced due diligence requests, and we want to explain that a little more. few updates on AML laws, some very exciting updates on the foundation amendments that we've introduced, a discussion on electronic identification verification and how we can use technology better going forward. And then, yes, certainly we'll look to answer any questions you might have. So I hope you're going to find that session useful. I'll try not to keep you the full hour because you'll be bored of my voice for that long. But if we can make it interactive and keep it going, we can explain to you how we're here to serve. So we wanted to start with some practical recommendations. And we've changed our engagement model. So we had the scenario, the situation, where agents could contact the relevant departments in relation to a specific service request they may have, and be dealing and talking to the people processing those amendments. We've changed that model slightly. We've still got the same expertise available to you, but we've set up a customer support team who will be focused on getting quicker responses back to you, quicker responses to your queries, without delaying any of the processing of the service requests. So we're hoping to speed up in two ways, really. One, the response times to your queries, and secondly, by some form of segregation, actually being able to process your requests more quickly too. So the customer support team is very much established to be your first point of contact. And of course, three ways of contacting them, really. Of course, by phone, of course, by email, and then also we'll explain how we can make better use of the inquiry feedback system that's available through the portal as well. One very important point to make is that your business development relationship manager is still very critical to your relationship with RAK ICC, and focused on new business and what you're looking to onboard with us. So it's not the establishment of the customer service team does not in any way diminish the importance of the relationship with your business development manager, but it does change it somewhat, because you may be able to go through the customer support team for queries on existing clients and focus on new business development with the business development team. And we're hoping that will streamline things for you. We're also very keen to ensure that we're as helpful as we can be with training you on the requirements of RAK ICC. And in part, that will be done by the BD team, and the business development relationship manager will walk you through how RAK ICC operates, and certainly provide training on products and services. The customer support team being more there for help with the actual administrative ongoing work. And so we're hoping, I mean, the reason for doing this was to make it easier for you to engage with us, and we're hoping you'll see the practicalities of this playing out. So we appreciate that most of your contact with RAK ICC is through the portal. And we wanted to spend some time today on some common issues that we've identified with the portal in terms of the submissions. One feedback we get is that we're often bouncing items back to you. And so we've looked at what is being bounced back, what sort of requests come in and we're having to go and say, well, sorry, this needs to be amended. What are the common issues that we face that cause delays for you? Because obviously, if it came through right first time, we'd be able to process straight through. So we've looked at some of these. These obviously aren't all of the issues that we face, but we've looked at some of the very practical issues that you may face. And so it's things like some of the more complex service requests where we've got a transfer of shares along with a director and a secretary change. We're finding that the change of director secretary isn't mentioned in the resolution. So we've got a combined service request being submitted, but the resolution doesn't confirm that it's a combined requirement. So that was just one of the things that we felt would help if we could point out that common error. Similarly, with instruments of transfers, we've noticed that the transfer should be mentioning the shares being transferred and not the total holding. And so this is just a technical point that comes through, and we're left having to go back to check with you, that the correct amount of shares are being transferred. And this sounds like a simple one, the address mismatch, but of course, all of these things, if the address proof doesn't match the records, then of course things will end up going back. So we're just trying to avoid some of these irritations, really, that I know will inconvenience you and you want to avoid in the future. We've noticed with miscellaneous resolutions that agents will elect to take the 220 dirham fee, but that only applies where it's a RAK ICC company resolution, and therefore we find ourselves having to adjust those ones too. And then with miscellaneous resolutions, we would ask that if you're having to do restated manual documents, we'll just start saying, please send them to the amendments team. We'll have a look at that. And then if we're updating true copy requests, sending true copy requests, it's helpful to actually see the document that you're wanting us to true copy to make sure we're sending you the right document. So sorry to go through some sort of technical issues like that. This isn't necessarily the best format for it, but we did want to just explain to you some of the things that we find as common issues. This is what we've identified, but of course, if you are aware of submissions that you make that you're generally finding issues with, then please, let us know what they are, and then we can look to offer similar guidance on this. We are sending you the recording. We'll send you the slides. So I don't want you to feel you have to look at what I'm doing here as a run through. But we've noticed some areas where we're finding agents are challenged by the portal, not necessarily finding the right place to be able to do things. So we wanted to highlight some of the areas that we can improve on that. I don't expect you to pick that up from a webinar, but what I wanted to highlight is that we're going to be improving and increasing the amount of guidance that we're putting on our portal. And so to that end, you're going to see much more effective information available to you, so that if you have a query over a particular type of submission request, yes, of course, please contact us. But first port of call is to see whether the advice and the information you're looking for is available on the website. So here we're just highlighting the ability to, where to find certain things that we know people sometimes struggle with. In terms of viewing comments, we know that a step could be reverted to you, and then maybe you'll struggle to find out, well, what is the point we're raising? Why has it come back? What is the query? So we just wanted to highlight where that information is found. And much more important is this slide, which, as I've already mentioned, is guidance that's available to you. And you can find that it will be much better for you to obtain the information from the portal that is, we're working heavily on updating and improving for you. Hoping that that is all going to be very useful. I really wanted to emphasize the inquiry feedback feature. And the reason for that is I know there's always a temptation to call or to email, but by using the inquiry feedback, not only will the query be directed to the person that is most suitable to help you, it also helps us monitor the responses. So we are tracking the effectiveness of monitoring in the inquiry feedback feature. And so you're much more likely to get a quicker response using that. Now, interestingly, I'd be happy to get your feedback on the feedback feature, because we want to develop it more. We do believe it's a useful tool. We hope that by using this feature, you will find a more focused and direct response to your queries. And one of the main reasons of having the webinar today was to introduce this feature to you if you're not already using it, to get some feedback from you if you are, and to say this will be a focus area for us to continue our improvement on it. But by explaining the type of inquiry, what it is relating to, you're going to get a more focused response and reply. Again, just a very minor technical issue, and I don't want to labor it too much. And it's not that it's is a key area of concern, but just the ability to be able to upload, re-upload documents, replace documents, keep the documents up to date. All of that helps us get the service request through more quickly for you. And so that's why we're spending a bit of time emphasizing those points. As you're well aware yourselves, the vast, or pretty much 50% of the companies incorporated with RAK ICC, and I don't know whether that's your own experience, are holding companies and that sort of structure. And so within those structures, we do need more information on the type of holding activity that's being undertaken. And we have noticed that some people are finding a little bit of a struggle to make sure the correct information is put in. So we just wanted to highlight this screen as something to pay attention to. Again, if you've got any feedback for us on why it might be unclear or why there may be issues with it. But this is important information for us. It helps us comply with the federal requirements as well, and helps you to comply with the requirements to know your customer, not just who they are, but obviously also very importantly what they're doing. So this is why holding is important to us. It's a key part of the activities in RAK ICC, and we want to make it as simple and straightforward for you as possible to be able to keep those records updated. So very importantly that we go on to record keeping obligations. We have noticed an increase in requests. So this isn't a RAK ICC specific. I think this is UAE as a whole. We're getting more requests for information from the federal authorities in relation to particular companies. We obviously are under obligation, and we do share the information that we hold. We also then come to you as the registered agent responsible for the companies and say, this information is required. You're then often coming out to us and say, oh, yeah, but we don't hold it. We'll go to the company to get it, which is understandable. And everybody is clear on, what information should be held by the registry, what information should be held by the registered agent, what information is held by the company. And if the information is held by the company, it is important that as part of your agreement with the company, you have the right and the relationship and the established processes for obtaining that information. Very aware of the 5-year rule now. I'm sure everybody is adhering to that, making sure that documents are kept for 5 years. Of course, when the ministry come to us, say, can we have details on this contract, or can we see this invoice? We won't have that information at the registry. We also understand it's unlikely that you will hold that information as part of the company records, depending on how involved you are in the day-to-day administration of the company. But nonetheless, the importance of having access to it. And then, of course, very important that these records are all kept up to date. And not least of all, importantly, the UBO information as well. And you're all aware of the 14-day, 15-day period to get us, to keep the registry informed of this. As soon as you're aware of a change of UBO, of course, you're under an obligation to ensure that the company records and indeed our records are up to date. So this is an area of significance. It's an area that we obviously focus on. We have our inspection team that goes out looking at the company records and ensuring they're complying with the federal requirements. So we're highlighting this as part of our outreach to you to help enable us to avoid having to issue warnings and we really hope not penalties for non-compliance. One of the ways you can help keep your registers up to date is obtain extracts from us. So the records that we hold are obviously available for you to purchase, to review, to obtain. And so we wanted to highlight how you can access those. So just a couple of slides on where to find it in the portal, but I'm sure this will be straightforward for you, that it is part of company services in the portal. That you are requesting the letter, and it's a letter that it is providing you with the extracts that you're looking for the register extracts. That will enable you to ensure that the records are up to date. And of course, if you've got any discrepancy at all in what you receive from us to the records that you're holding for the company, there is an obligation to rectify those and ensure that it's all okay. That will help you comply with your federal obligations. So we're highlighting the ability to get there. We hope you'll take advantage of extracting the register, ensuring that everything is up to date. And not least of all, before you're doing renewals, obviously, we're all keen to get the renewal process through as quickly as possible. So if any anomalies or discrepancies can be sorted before the renewal process, then so much the better. I hope that makes it clear on record keeping, but of course we're here to advise and help you through that. I'm very conscious of the fact that we come back to you, you submit a request, and then we come back to you and say, we've reviewed it, there are risks associated with this, we're going to be doing enhanced monitoring, we'll need to do enhanced due diligence, and therefore we can accept the risk, but it's at a higher price. And I appreciate the concern for you and the difficulty that causes, because you've already discussed with your client the likely fees that RAK ICC are. You're not going to want to say to the client, well, we're not sure what RAK ICC are going to charge us. So we want to make it clear of the general risk factors that will influence the decision that might lead to differential pricing. None of what we're asking for should really come as a surprise to you, because in your own due diligence on the clients, we would expect you would have been able to do a risk assessment, and we'd be surprised if our risk assessment came out much different to yours. So if you know you're presenting a high risk case to us, then you shouldn't then be surprised that then it may come back with differential pricing. But I don't want you to feel like this is a lottery, and we wanted just to explain some of the approach we're taken to it, so it becomes less as a surprise when these factors come through. It isn't just a tick box exercise as well. It's not just a case of, oh, things are coming into particular tick boxes and therefore it's escalated. We obviously take a more holistic approach to risk than that. But having said that, there are key triggers in the portal. You're entering details in. And one of the improvements we're working on the system is being able to automatically request the information that the system will trigger in that way. It's a development we're keen to roll out to you. We do believe it's going to be helpful to you. We really hope that then that makes it easier for you to get the information in advance of the submission that enables the application to go through more quickly. But let's just talk about what some of those factors are. And please don't feel that if this differential pricing is introduced, it's ever just at the whim of a particular administrator. These matters are referred to our very senior compliance committee. We've got a very thorough process of risk assessment, as I'm sure you do within your organizations too. But I just wanted to make that point that any differential pricing has been done with consideration at the highest level of the potential risk and impact to RAK ICC, and of course the risk and impact to yourself as a registered agent handling that high risk business. Of course, we're going to be looking for adverse media. So if we see anything that indicates a risk to us in the media, we'll of course come back to you for clarification. And we do expect that sometimes the media will have gotten it wrong. The media representation might not be totally accurate. So please don't feel that as soon as there's a media article and it's taken as absolute truth. We're happy to work with you, investigate further, understand the scenario better. Of course, we've got zero appetite for any sanctions issues. So we are going to be very strict, of course, as you'd expect, and of course I know you will be too, on any sanctions nexus. And we do investigate thoroughly, and we will take action to remove any sanction risk from the organization. We will rely on your cooperation with that. I mean, again, there may be misunderstandings. We may, seen a report that indicates a sanctions nexus, but that you can explain isn't the case. We pride ourselves in our ability to handle complex structures well and straightforward and easily for you. We want to make them as simple as possible, notwithstanding the complex nature of that particular client. But of course, that does put extra cost and extra risk on us as an operation. So of course, you can expect us coming back and standardizing charging for complex structures to make that more transparent for you as well. So again, there aren't any surprises. Politically exposed persons, and we will work with the same definition that you will in terms of, what is a politically exposed person, and work with you on any queries or clarifications as to whether somebody is actually politically exposed, and the risk and extent of that. And then, of course, high-risk activities, and we're mentioning a few here, chemicals, aviation, shipping, dual use, but that's not a full comprehensive list of high-risk activities. But you won't be at all surprised that, within the system, when you choose an activity, certain activities will trigger reviews as to whether they're high risk or not. We will have to come back to you to clarify, for example, if it's chemicals, what chemicals, and, are things dual use goods, and etc. So all part of the research we know you're doing on your clients too, and we want to work and collaborate and cooperate with you on this area. So I hope that's a useful overview in terms of when differential pricing takes effect, and really just to explain that it isn't at a whim. There's a strict methodology we're following with it. I know you recently had a compliance webinar, and we're not wanting to repeat and replicate that. But nonetheless, we do want to highlight some of the legislation that we believe, is relevant to you. These are the regulations we're looking to follow. We're looking to ensure that we have a good understanding of them ourselves to help you to make your requirements. So I'm not going to go through them in any detail. You'll be relieved about that. But there is good information available on the ministry sites, and we've got links to the sites from our website. So if you ever query, or you ever have a query concern about AML provision, please do look at those. And of course, one of the high risk factors, one of the additional fee areas, one of the areas that we're looking to consider, not least of all in terms of who can be a registered agent with us, is that they are qualifying as DNFPBs, appropriately registered. So again, this is all familiar to you. I'm not going to go into detail on who is a DNFPB and what activities that they're conducting. I believe you understand those. but nonetheless, just highlighting the fact that we're taking account of it. And why does it matter? We want to help you meet your obligations. And I like the expression gatekeeper. I think it explains DNFPB's role very effectively. You do have access to the information that helps assess the client risk. You are aware of the nature of their business, and so the UAE is relying on you as much as they're relying on us to help keep the reputation of the UAE as a effective jurisdiction for reducing the risks of money laundering, terrorist financing. So we're listing out, I'm not going to read through them, we're listing out those areas of guidelines that are available to you, the requirements on you, and these are the things we're looking to make sure that we can support you with in meeting your federal obligations. And we just wanted to highlight those in general terms to you. But I did want to go into a bit more detail on key insights on Cabinet 109 and 132. And this has come about recently, and I know more of you will have been aware of the system advice that we put on lately in terms of the natural person in the state. So I wanted to highlight that requirement and why it's important, and why we're highlighting the fact that every company in the UAE, regardless of whether it's with RAK ICC or in any zone, needs a person in the state that's responsible to the authorities for keeping the UBO information up to date and being able to report on it. Of course, we have the registers, so we're able to share with the ministry the UBO registers as they require. But it's important that the company has somebody in the role that's in the UAE responsible for making sure this beneficial ownership information is accurate and up to date. The legislation very specifically mentions it's a natural person. Obviously, with RAK ICC, we have the relationship with you as the registered agent. And so we're obliging and requiring you as the registered agent to have that information up to date. But the federal law requires it to be a natural person. Most corporate service providers are happy that the natural person is the general manager, managing director of the corporate service provider. They're taking on that sort of de facto responsibility as being the corporate service provider, representative of the corporate service provider that can maintain that information up to date. Some companies choose to allocate a specific person that isn't involved with the corporate service provider, or a named corporate person within the corporate service provider firm as to meet that obligation to have a natural person in the state. When we designed the system and allowed changes to be made to the responsible manager, we didn't restrict the system to UAE residents only. So we have had the scenario where registered agents are appointing a non-UAE resident as the responsible manager. And of course, that doesn't comply with the requirements. So the first thing we've done is highlighted on the system that shouldn't be submitted. The second thing we're doing is putting a restriction on the system so that you can't appoint somebody that isn't resident to be the natural person. And then the third thing we're asking you to do in terms of your responsibilities going forward is to make sure that each company does have a natural person in the state identified for that. I know that's slightly different to the topic on the slide that you're seeing there, which is more generally about the fact that you have to keep the registers up to date. But of course, it's this register being up to date that is effectively the responsibility of the responsible manager, because they have to know who the UBO is at any time on those companies and update us within the 15 days of any changes to that. In terms of Know Your Customer, we launched a product a couple of years ago now, which was to take advantage of the improvements in technology that enables identification to be more streamlined and straightforward. I've actually been surprised at how few people have taken up that technology, because we found it useful. We had an example recently of using it where it identified a fake passport. And so, it's very straightforward to receive a paper copy of a passport or even see an original passport, but not to put it through any verification and vetting. That would expose you to risk. It exposes us to risk. So this is an appeal from me to you to consider using electronic ID verification as part of your onboarding. We have this service that's available. We're paying for it. We will be happy for you to use it on our account, because we do feel that it is an improvement. It's a risk reduction measure for us. So I'm making this appeal for you to have a look at the slides, consider using it, provide us with your feedback on it. If you feel that it just isn't practical, or you can't see the advantage of it, I'd be more than happy to have that conversation with you to see how we can improve the offering, because I do see this as an important feature going forwards. If we have the demand for it, then we can link the technology to the portal to make onboarding even easier for you. So I'd be very happy to take any queries you have on this. What I'm asking you to do, if you're interested, is just email into the customer support at rakicc.com. Just say we're interested in learning more about electronic ID verification. We can then contact you. We may even put you on a call with the provider of the service to see how we can have effective use cases. Because I think it would be sad to see this feature available and not being used when we genuinely believe that it's advantageous to you. You'll be relieved to know that's my last slide, and I apologize for really going through at a gallop for it. But we do want to increase our engagement with you. You can be expecting to hear much more from us in the coming months. I hope you've seen the publicity that we've sent out in relation to our foundation amendments. They don't change the practicality of the foundations that are already registered with us. The changes that we've made are automatically applied features that will enhance the foundations, both new and existing. And we really believe that we've got a world-class foundation product that we do appreciate, not everybody understands. And so the focus of our next update is going to be on foundations, what they are, how they're used, why RAK ICC. Watch out for that coming soon. We're also talking more about the benefits of foundations, and we do believe that foundation is a hugely effective product for this region and can help with wealth preservation in this region. So we're excited about what we've done there, and we're very keen to help explain that to you, promote it to you. If you're wondering, we don't offer foundations, we don't really understand them, we don't know what they are, we're nervous about it, then this will be a great opportunity for you to engage with us so that we can really make the most of what we believe is a great product for the region. That does lead me to Q&A, and I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. I see a couple of hands up. We unfortunately aren't able to unmute to be able to ask questions. So if you do have anything you want to know, if you're able to put it into the chats, please do. Otherwise, don't feel that you can't send us an email, send us a question. We'd be very happy to to answer any questions. This is food for thought. I mean, the whole point of this session was to give you food for thought on the RAK ICC offering. Any suggestions from you on how we can improve it, we're very keen to hear. I'm not seeing any questions, so I hope that means I've given a comprehensive overview. And if it doesn't, and there is anything you're uncertain about, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. We've got a customer support team ready to assist. We've got registry officers that are ready to process those service requests, deal with your requirements as soon as possible. But on that note, and in the absence of any further questions, I'm happy to give you some time back, draw the webinar to a close, but very pleased to have had the opportunity to engage with you, and look forward to doing so again with you soon. Thank you very much.